Welcome back to my WCBL Week 4 Season 3 Team Builder. This week we are going up against Justin, coach of the Kentucky Krookodiles. So, starting off once again, have his mons tiered in a way that I top being most likely, bottom being least likely. However, just because they are on the top does not mean that they are guaranteed to come in. Just because they're on the bottom doesn't mean they are never going to come. So starting off, looking at his team, one of his big offensive threats is going to be that mammoth swine. Ice and ground is quite nice. It's also a nice rocker to wear down my team. So possible sets is maybe like a sash set, since it is slower than a lot of my offensive mons, but however can do massive damage back to them. Sash could be nice for him, especially since I usually don't like to run hazards, or at least with this team, with the Krookodiles and Stakataka being my rockers. So yeah, it could easily be a Sash set, could be a Life Orb, 3 attacks, and Stealth Rocks. Stealth Rocks is an option, but not necessarily needed. Could expect it to run Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, Earthquake, Knockoff. So we'll have to try and figure out what kind of moves it has, and based off of that, what kind of set it's running. Could easily be run Scarf to outspeed a lot of my mons, as long as they themselves are not scarfed. And yeah, I believe Mammal Swine is one of his Z move users, which is quite strange, seeing as how he does have the Salamence, and yeah, his Z move users is Mamoswine and Goro, which is quite nice for me, since I don't have to worry about a Supersonic Sky Strike coming off of Salamence, or any other Z move for that matter. So yeah, so possibly Scarfed Rocker, offensive set, Life Orb, Z move. Trying to think what Z move it would most likely run. Maybe ICMZ against me. Mainly for Mega Heracross, I guess. So we'll have to watch out for that. If I cannot tell if it is Life Orb or choiced or sashed in some way, I will be assuming it is Z move. And yeah, moving on. Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor is really nice. Bug Steel, it is somewhat a decent check to Chiron Black. Technician Bullet Punch does do a lot. We'll have to watch out for a Sword Stance variant, because Bug is very useful for my Cresselia, and with Sword Stance up, it is the hardest hitting mon he has for it. Could easily run Superpower for Stakataka, which otherwise would wall it, and making it a threat. I wouldn't even be surprised if it is running Superpower, because that's useful for Chiron Black, Stakataka, Krookotile, Kangaskhan, and the likes. And yeah, could easily be Sword Stance, could be a bulky roost set to stall things out, with U-turn for momentum, and that momentum would also pair very well with his Raikou, which could easily have Volt Switch. So would most likely see that pairing for momentum, and getting into a position where he can dominate the mon that I have out. And yeah, it could easily also run defog as his hazard removal this week. His other hazard removal in Tentacruel I have lower down and least likely to come. And I'll explain that later. So if he is really worried about hazards, could easily run defog on that. And yeah, also gives him a knockoff user to knock off my items, which is a pain. Also helps wall Feeny, Gorgeist, can help wall Crocodile, and like I said before, can easily wall Cresselia. And yeah, so even if though it can be run offensive, I am probably more likely to expect a bulky set coming out from it to work as a pseudo wall. Moving on to Raikou. Raikou is faster than all of my mons except Scarfers and that Crobat, and it doesn't really have to worry about Crobat since it is electric. Will easily be taking that flying stab such as Brave Bird from it quite well. It is also quite bulky, especially so can easily work as a wall for that Chiron Black with, like, say, a Shuka and hit it back with Aura Sphere. Could easily be a Calm Mind subset like he brought in week 2. Yeah, week 2. That could put in a lot of work on the Switch. If he's bringing it, I am definitely expecting Aura Sphere because that is also helpful for the Krookodile as well as that Chiron Black. And yeah, we'll have to kind of have to watch out for that set to see if it is possibly even specs. Specs might not even be that too bad. Could easily run Snarl to lower my special attackers, which could be useful, and Electric is super useful for my Tapu Fini. And Tapu Fini can be quite a threat as long as Raikou is gone. Moving on, Pangoro. Usually I would say Pangoro is usually not that good, mainly because of that 4 times weakness to Fairy. However, Pangoro is quite an offensive threat. Maybe even brought as AV, doesn't even need to be banded or Life Orb to do massive damage. Knockoff, Drain Punch, Gunk Shot, quite useful for my team. With the AV can easily sit in front of most Chiron Black sets and easily defeat it with Drain Punch. Cresselia can easily be blown back by Knockoff and other Dark Stab. And Moonblast, if its AV is not doing that much. Stack Attacker gets blown back by fighting Move. Krookodile gets blown back by fighting. Gorgeist gets blown back by Dark. Kangaskhan gets blown back by fighting Mega Heracross. Not too worried about Crobat. Not too worried about Tapu Fini versus both fighting and Dark. However, it does get that Gunk Check, which can do a lot, depending on Tapu Fini's spread. Delphox, once again, weak to Dark, so it can hit a lot of my mons for super effective, which is kind of a problem and why I think it is higher up on the list. These 4 mons that I've covered so far, Mamoswine, Mega Scizor, Raikou, and just said its name, Pangoro. Most likely to be brought of these top 6. I'm really expecting them. These next few are kind of going to be interchangeable, starting off with Tangrowth. Tangrowth, some people might say not that useful since I do have that Chiron Black and that Mega Heracross and that Delphox. However, it can, if it's run physically defensive, can help wall Crobat that is not banded. Special Crobat can do somewhat damage to it. However, its main usage would probably be to wall stack attack and Krookodile if it's Fizz Def, and as well as the Gorgeist, and slowly whittle them down, as well as possible sleep powder to put asleep Cresselia or any other mon that wants to come in besides that Gorgeist, which it does wall. Also gives up another knockoff user, which isn't all too bad, as well as Grass is useful for taking on Tapu Fini, even though it doesn't really want to take a special move if it is Fizz Def and not like an AV set. Could easily bring an AV set, but still gets blown back by Chiron Black, and still gets blown back by Delphox, which are my main special attackers. And speaking of special attackers, moving on, we have Gardevoir. Gardevoir is possibly being brought as a special wall for that Delphox, for that Tapu Fini, for that Cresselia. Somewhat for Chiron Black, but not really, since it can run physical attacks, such as Iron Head, which will blow it back. But could easily run a Steel Berry, Steel Weakness Berry, blanking on its name. And yep, could easily run Calm Mind to sit in front of Cresselia and set up Psychic Ghost Fairy, attacking wise, quite useful for me. Delphox can be taken care of by a Shadow Ball. Tapu Fini doesn't really want to take Psychic Attacks. Robust doesn't really want to take Psychic Attacks. Mega Heracross doesn't really want to take Psychic Attacks. Krookodile and Chiron Black don't really want to take Fairy moves. Besides Steel Reduction Berry, it can also be run with a Scarf, or if he is really gutsy, he could bring a Trick Room set if he is not really expecting Stacka or is not completely worried about Stacka as an offensive threat. Could easily run Trick Room on that Gardevoir with his slower mons such as Mamo and Pangoro and Tangrowth and Mega Scizor to do a lot of damage to a faster team if I choose to bring it. Moving on, we have the Salamence. Why I have these Salamence kind of lower is because it is not a Z move user, which means its best way to hit Mega Heracross in Fly is not that useful, as well as the Gorgeist, which are great physical walls for it, as well as that Tapu Fini. Without a Z move, Salamence usually can't break Tapu Fini, even with a Dragon Dance up, and can easily be taken out by an Ice Beam or Moonblast. And yeah, so less likely to come, but if it is brought, maybe a Scarf set to outspeed Scarf Chiron Black, which I do like to bring, could easily be brought with Dragon Dance and Intimidate to weaken my physical attackers. It would be a wall. Does get Wish, which is also what Gardevoir can run. Gardevoir, Salamence both can be a Wish support mons to keep his team healthy. If he is going for a bulkier team and trying to whittle me down. And yeah. If it is brought, definitely didn't expect special. Special isn't all that useful against me, I would say. Since I do have, even if Cresselia and Tapu Fini are run Fizz Def, especially, they are still quite bulky. It won't be taking much. And yeah. Moving on, we have Heatran. Why Heatran is down here is, even though Fire and Steel is very useful against my team, It is slower than a lot of my offensive mons, such as Chiron Black, such as the Finny, which it could technically deal with them if it was faster. So if it is brought, it is definitely scarfed. Either that or Shuka as a possible Chiron Black counter, or Air Balloon. But if it is Air Balloon, it does not want to switch in onto a Chiron Black and lose that and then get blasted by an Earth Power. So it's either going to be scarfed or Shuka if it is brought, guaranteed. Really only and it is, even though it's a fire type, it does get demolished by Mega Heracross's fighting type, and is, well, it is technically faster than it, but I feel like he has other threats that can deal with Mega Heracross, such as Gardevoir, such as Salamence, well, mainly Gardevoir, and mainly that Scissor. I guess Scissor could easily counter Mega Heracross if it does have the Aerial Ace. If it doesn't, might be in sort of a stalemate with the Mega Heracross dependent on its set. And yeah, Heatran also can be brought as a rocker, which is nice. And yeah, if I can tell, going back, if I can tell Mamoswine is scarfed or choiced in some way, or Life Orb, then I will be expecting most likely Poison EMZ on the Pangoro to deal with Tapu Fini, or maybe even Dark EMZ for Cresselia. Moving on is the Tentacruel. Tentacruel is nice because it outspeeds a lot of my mons, gives him a Rapid Spinner. However, Water Poison isn't all that too good against me. Sure, Water is nice for Krookodile, but Krookodile can easily take it out with an Earthquake. With Tapu Fini, Poison is nice. However, depending on its set, it won't be doing that much. And it struggles with breaking a lot of my other bulkier mons. Could easily be brought with Toxic Spikes if he is not expecting me to bring Defung on Fini or Crobat. And yeah, so those four mons, Tangrowth, Salamence, Heatran, Tentacruel, and Gardevoir, are interchangeable depending on what kind of team he wants to go for, and what he sees as a threat. And those are the most likely mons that I will see changed up in this draft. Moving on to the last two, Ambipom could be brought. Is it going to be brought? Probably not, since I do have two inner focus mons, so Fake Out support won't be that useful. It's not like its offensive ability is that threatening. If it is brought, then it is most likely going to be some kind of baton pass shenanigans, such as Agility or Nasty Plot or Home Claws. Not sure it gets Swords Dance. Can't remember. But yeah, if I do see it, then I am definitely going to be expecting baton pass shenanigans. Last but not least is the Alolan Golem. I highly doubt Alolan Golem is going to be brought. Rock Electric is horrible. Gets blown back by Earth Power on Chiron B. Can't really do much to Cresselia. only possible use I can actually see it is for Stack Attacker, because it does have Magnet Pull, and maybe he wants to trap that in. However, an Earthquake from Stack Attacker is just blowing it back. And yeah, Crocodile blows it back, not doing. Both its stabs are resisted by Gorgeist. Kangaskhan, I guess, could technically wall that depending on its set. Mega Heracross blows back, kind of walls Crobat, so could technically be used for that, but he definitely has other mons that can easily wall it as well, and more useful matchup. Tapu Fini, it can do a lot with its electric stab. However, Fini with like a skull or surf can do massive back to it and probably most likely take it out, and it is not touching Electros whatsoever. So looking at his team, his most powerful threats are probably going to be trying to figure out which mons are scarfed to outspeed my mons, as well as possible setup is going to be hard to deal with. So with that in mind, starting off my team this week is going to be Lunch Lady, the Kangaskhan, Leftovers, Inner Focus, Wish, Fake Out, Circle Throw, Protect. With this spread, speed-wise, it outspeeds Golem, and it outspeeds Adamant Pangoro. Max HP to get the most out of Wish. With its Def investment, Gardevoir is not doing much to it. Raiku's not doing much to it. Heatran is not doing much to it. Should probably actually have the percentages. Heatran, like a Choice Scarfed, not to hit KOing it, can easily wall it with Wish. And I can throw it back out with Circle Throw, which is quite nice. Even with base 95 attack 0, I would think Circle Throw would do more to it, but no, it's only doing like 29 max to a Heatran, a Raikou, like non-attacking item Timid. Thunderbolt is doing like 35.5, and if it tries to set up Calm Mind on me, I will get it out with Circle Throw, which sadly does not break this up. Maybe a problem. Thought Circle Throw would do more. The Circle Throw is also nice to hit the Mamoswine, to hit that Pangoro, to hit you know what, I might, even if I put that in attack, that's not very useful. Dilemmas. Well, still Fake Out Circle Throw is nice to get rid of setup users that think they can set up in front of Kangaskhan. And yeah, great Fake Out support to get Chip and see if they are possibly leftovers, which is very useful. Could break a sash on Mamo with that and such. And moving on to my next mon to deal more of a bulky team for speed wise, to outspeed a lot of his team, besides the Raikou and Ambipom, I do have Ember McLean, my Delphox, Expert Belt, Blaze, Calm Mind. Let's actually change this to Magician in case I get knocked off. But I'm not really sure I can take a knockoff. Probably should check that. But basically, Calm Mind, Flamethrower, Hidden Power Ground, Dez, and Gleam. These three attacks basically hits everything for super effective, and those that do not or get hit neutral and are special attackers, which I can set up Calm Minds in front of, which is nice. The only exception is Alolan Golem, but don't really expect it to be brought. Even if it is brought, I have other mons that can easily check it. Well, technically, Alolan Golem even doesn't want to take that Hidden Power Ground, so totally skipped my mind. I forgot. My brain is a bit scattered today. Outspeeds Timid Tentacruel, outspeeds Timid or Jolly Mence, which is nice. And it is a good indicator if they are scarfed, as well as that Mamoswine, but we'll probably switch out into a designated checker to that. And Delphox can easily blow back that Scissor, which is a real problem for a lot of my mons. Dazzling Gleam is nice for that Pangoro. Flamethrower is nice for Mamo and Tangrowth. HP Ground basically hits everything that would resist it. Those two moves of Dazzling Gleam and Flamethrower, which is quite nice, especially with a Calm Mind up. I believe I can almost one-shot everything. Things I can't one-shot with one Calm Mind up, I can easily get a second Calm Mind up in front of them and hit them with a move that will then one-hit KO them. So basically at +2, I basically one-shot everything, which is nice, except for possible Assault Vest users. Moving on to deal with walling threats such as the Scizor and the Mamoswine, and other physical users. I am bringing Skulker, the Mega Heracross, that will turn into Skill Link when it Megas, which is nice substitute to bulk up Pin Missile. Rock Blast, enough Spadef is there so that behind a sub, Modest Tentacruel Scald will not break it unless it is an attack boosting item, which would be quite interesting. We'll have to watch out for Hydro Pumps though. And with bulk up at +1, Bullet Punch from the Scizor will not break my sub, which is quite nice. Can easily take one hit from Gardevoir, unless maybe it's Modest Specs, but then it is quite slow and other mons on my team can deal with it. Why I am not running a fighting move, even though a lot of his mons get hit super effective for it, is because most of those mons that do get hit super effective by fighting also take super effective damage from Bug or Rock, such as Pangoro does not want to take Bug, Mamoswine does not want to take Rock. The only one that fighting would be useful is for Lone Golem or Heatran. Heatran at +1 is, well, depending on set, is easily 2-hit KO'd by Rock Blast, which is nice. And if it is not, then it is a way much bulkier set, and I don't expect him to have his first switch into Mega Heracross being that Heatran. Same with Alola Golem, which do not like to take fighting moves. Really expecting his switch into Mega Heracross is going to be that Scizor or maybe that Tentacruel, which Tentacruel would like to take Bug and Fighting Stab. However, will not be breaking my sub if it is bulky then, and can be taken care of with Rock Blast if it is super offensive. Even if it's super offensive, it probably needs Specs or a Hydro Pump to break my sub, but most likely expecting that Scald because it can get burns on my mons that are not under misty terrain, and it is quite useful. Moving on to deal with threats such as Heatran and Alolan Golem, I am bringing Spectrum, the Krookodile, Titanium Z, Intimidate, Fire Fang, Knockoff, Earthquake, and Bulk Up. Enough speed to outspeed Jolly Mamoswine. I was thinking about possibly running the rocks on this. However, to possibly break a sashes, I do have that Mega Heracross with Skull Link and multiple hits to take care of those mons, so not really too worried about Sash. What I kind of am worried about is Scarfed Mamoswine putting in the work against me. That's why I have Intimidate and Bulk Up. Z Bulk Up will get me to +2, and then Fire Fang can easily one-shot complete defensive Scizor. Mega Scizor will outspeed that and take it out, even if it is not max bulk. +2 is nice for that, especially taking a U-turn from it, which is slower, especially after Intimidate. +2 Fire Fang is doing massive damages to physical defense Tangrowth if that is his answer to it. And yeah, even if he brings Ments with the Intimidate, I'm not running Rock this week because it would mainly just be there to hit that Salamence, and Knockoff does just as fine getting rid of its item. And yeah, even at +1, it is doing massive damage to Salamence. And yeah, max attack for most damage. Not really running bulk to take hits. Moving on to my sort of win condition is Tapu Fini, Princess. Is that a P? It's supposed to be a D. Dorothea, with Choice Scarf, Moonblast, Surf, Shadow Ball, Trick. Enough speed to outspeed Mamoswine. Will outspeed Scarf Mamoswine, which is quite nice, and possibly catch it off guard. Moonblast is nice for Salamence and Pangoro. Could possibly run Ice Beam, but then nothing for that Pangoro. And could easily run Yachi on Salamence. And probably wouldn't expect the Roselia Berry, I think that's the Fairy Berry, for that Moonblast, because not 4 times effective. Surf is useful for hitting the Heatran. Might change Shadow Ball though. I think I had it there for Tentacruel, but and maybe the Gardevoir. Let's see what other special attacks it has. Category, special power, Hydro Pump. not really wanting the friends. Gold, nope. Brine, nope. Ice Beam. It's probably most likely going to be Ice Beam or Shadow Ball. Ice Beam would be useful for that Tangrowth, but if it is Fizz Def like I'm expecting it, Moon Blast is going to do a lot to it anyways. So, yeah, let's keep that as Shadow Ball. And yeah, hopefully to catch things off guard with this Scarf Finny. Maybe I should run HP Fire on this for Mega Scizor, just to super catch it off guard. Trick Scarf. A lot of people, I don't think, realize that Finny has Trick, so if he does bring Tangrowth in as a wall for that, or Gardevoir, or Tentacruel, expecting them most likely to be defensive, and more support mons with some kind of setup. Same with the Raikou, and then bam, trick them a Choice Scarf, and then they are basically stopped from doing their setup. And yeah, as well as helps me outspeed a lot of things on the team, such as Scarfers and other mons that outspeeded, such as the Raikou, Ambipom, and technically Tentacruel and Salamence. And like I said, this is sort of my win con, but the main reason this is my win con is for that Misty Surge, because I am bringing Misty Seed. Electros Technus is going to put in the work this week. Sure, doesn't outspeed a lot on his team. I think it's actually nothing. It doesn't outspeed anything except maybe Tangrowth, but with 0 speed it would probably be a speed tie, I think. And yeah, gonna cough, hold up. So yeah, Electros Technus is going to be my win con this week, with Misty Seed. Special attackers such as Raikou, Heatran, Tentacruel, and Gardevoir are doing zip to it with max HP, max Spadef. And then with Coil, physical attackers are doing 0 to it, such as all the rest of his mons. And then with Drain Punch, Thunder Punch, and Knockoff, I basically hit everything for that can somewhat deal me with super effective and KO them. And yeah, so Drain Punch is nice for Mamoswine, for Pangoro, for the Heatran, for the Golem. Knockoff is quite useful, or Thunder Punch is useful for Mega Scizor, for that Tentacruel, for that Salamence. And yeah, Knockoff hits Tangrowth and Raikou for a lot, and the Gardevoir for a lot, which I can easily set up coils in front of. His initial switch in for this Electros, I am expecting most likely to be that Raikou, or the Tangrowth, not like offensive threats such as Mamoswine or Pangoro, because they do not want to risk a Drain Punch coming off and blowing them the back to where they came from. And yeah, this is my team for week 4 against Justin, and hopefully it pays off. And hopefully I don't get crit with this Electros, because Showdown likes giving my opponents crits against my basically sort of double dance defensive mons. This isn't technically double dance defense, since Quill is its setup for Fizz Def, but it's sort of, because of the Misty Seed will give it that Spadef boost. And Yeah, Pokemon likes Showdown likes to crit my mons that do that, such as last week Tapu Fini and last season with my Mega Banette, which got all the way up to +6, +6, +6 with Calm Mind and Cotton Guard. And hopefully, yeah, hopefully I can get a win this week and put me back on track to making playoffs. So catch me in the match, which will probably be coming up later after this video or the next day. Peace. Catch you next time.